The night I saved my boss from making the biggest mistake of her life, I thought I was simply protecting her from a dangerous situation. I never imagined that by sunrise, she would look directly into my eyes and say 4 words that would change everything between us: "I remember everything." What she remembered wasn't just the alcohol, the rain, or the humiliating night. She remembered what I had done when nobody was watching, and that frightened me more than anything. My name is Daniel, and for 3 years I had worked as a junior financial analyst at one of the most respected companies in the city. My boss, Elena Hart, was the CEO. She was brilliant, disciplined, intimidating, and almost impossible to read. People in the office whispered that she had built the company from nothing after losing everything in her 20s. To me, she was simply a demanding boss who expected perfection. We rarely spoke about anything personal. I kept my distance because I needed the job, and she seemed to prefer it that way. Then came the night that changed everything. It was almost 11 when I left the office. A violent storm had turned the streets into rivers, and most of the building was already dark. As I walked toward the parking garage, I noticed Elena standing alone near the entrance. Her expensive coat was soaked, her hair was disheveled, and she was struggling to unlock her car. The smell of alcohol was obvious even from several feet away. She had clearly been drinking far more than she should have. I approached carefully and asked if she needed help. She looked at me for several seconds before recognizing me. She laughed weakly and told me she was perfectly capable of driving home. I knew she wasn't. Her hands were trembling, and she could barely keep her balance. I offered to call a taxi, but she refused. Then she stepped toward her car, and I saw another vehicle waiting across the street with 2 men watching her. Something about the situation felt wrong. I quietly took her keys and told her I would not let her drive. She became angry, telling me I was overstepping my position. But I stayed calm. I told her she could fire me in the morning if she wanted, but tonight I would rather lose my job than watch her get behind that wheel. She stared at me, and for a moment her anger disappeared. She looked exhausted instead. Not like a powerful CEO. Like a woman who had been carrying something unbearably heavy for far too long. I helped her into a nearby hotel lobby, where there were security cameras, staff, and other people around. I didn't want anyone to misunderstand the situation. I asked the receptionist to arrange a safe room for her and called a trusted taxi service. While we waited, those 2 men from across the street entered the lobby. One approached Elena, claiming to be her friend, but I recognized him from an argument I had overheard at the company weeks earlier. He had been trying to pressure her into signing a business agreement. Elena was too intoxicated to understand what was happening. I stepped between them and told the man that security was already watching. He threatened me quietly, saying I had no idea who I was dealing with. I didn't move. Thankfully, the hotel security guard came over, and the man eventually left with his companion. I stayed beside Elena until her trusted assistant arrived. Before leaving, I placed her phone, wallet, and keys safely into her assistant's hands. I explained everything that had happened and then walked out into the storm. I thought that was the end of it. The next morning, I was summoned to Elena's office. My heart sank. I was certain I was about to be fired. When I entered, Elena was standing beside the window. She was dressed perfectly, as always, but there was something different in her expression. She turned around slowly and looked at me. Then she said, "I remember everything." I didn't know what to say. She remembered me taking her keys. She remembered me refusing to leave her alone. She remembered the 2 men. Most importantly, she remembered that I had never tried to take advantage of her vulnerable state. Then she told me something I hadn't known. The man outside the hotel had been working with someone inside the company. They had been trying to obtain confidential documents from Elena while she was intoxicated. If I hadn't intervened, she might have signed papers that could have cost the company millions. But Elena wasn't thanking me for saving the company. She was thanking me for saving her. She admitted that she had been drinking because she had discovered that someone she trusted had betrayed her. She had spent years believing that showing weakness made people dangerous. That night, for the first time, she had been completely vulnerable in front of someone, and instead of exploiting her, I protected her dignity. She offered me a promotion. I almost refused because I didn't want anyone thinking I had earned it through personal favor. But she explained that the promotion wasn't a reward. It was recognition of my judgment, courage, and integrity. Months passed, and everything changed slowly. I became part of a new management team. Elena began trusting people again, but she never stopped being careful. Our relationship remained professional, yet there was a quiet understanding between us that neither of us needed to explain. One evening, after a long day, Elena and I stood on the office balcony watching the city lights. She told me that sometimes the most important moments in life happen when nobody is applauding. Nobody sees the decision. Nobody knows what you sacrificed. But those moments reveal who you really are. I told her I had only done what anyone should have done. She smiled and said that was exactly why it mattered. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories about courage, kindness, and second chances to people who may need them. A year later, Elena told me that the night I saved her had changed more than her career. It had changed the way she saw people. She had spent years believing that everyone eventually wanted something from her. I had shown her that sometimes a person can simply choose to do the right thing. And perhaps that was the greatest reward I could have received. Because sometimes we think kindness is a small act, a hand reaching out, a door held open, a person refusing to walk away when someone is vulnerable. But we never know how deeply that small act might change another person's life. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. There may be someone watching right now who needs to be reminded that goodness still exists. Before you leave, comment, "I believe in second chances," if you believe one good decision can change someone's entire life. And remember, you don't need money, power, or a perfect life to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is the courage to stay when everyone else chooses to walk away. Because the night I saved my drunk boss from trouble, I thought I was protecting her. I never realized she would spend the rest of her life reminding me that, in that moment, she had seen the very best in me, and somehow, she had helped me see it too.